So this week the trio is a note that has become more prominently used. It's been about a long time, and it's been in some, like I'll say, some fragrances I love. But nowadays it's kind of that molecular replacement as ambroxan type notes have got more expensive. They've switched to the other heavy fixative, and that is Cashmeran, isn't it? Which to me can be a lot of things. In the old days it used to be just kind of maybe a slight bit of pepperiness and a kind of thick dense warmth, not overly thick and overly dense, but it was there. It's something you could, I suppose, was it supposed to smell like cashmere to start off with? I haven't looked into the history of this. You know, that kind of smooth, well, wool warmth, isn't it? So maybe that's how it started. But nowadays it's basically a main ingredient. It's used to make a fragrance project and last forever and choke you and make it dense and over the top. So the way you've got to look at it is with these molecular things, they'd be like, I don't take sugar in my tea, but like a spoonful of sugar in your tea, just to give that or a little bit of sprinkle of salt on something, to kind of give it, enhance the flavour. Nowadays what they are is they are literally a mountain of sugar or salt with a little bit of flavouring of what it was we used to be trying to enhance. So they've flipped. These cheap, obviously much cheaper molecular notes are now replacing, not saying naturals, but accords and things like that, which may, you know, these big companies don't want to spend money, do they? Bottom line, darling, bottom line. So yeah, that's Cashmeran. Yeah, let's crack on. So yeah, first up is Forbidden Bloom from Mabel Arama. And Mabel uses, she's got two fragrances out, and she makes the best use of these molecular molecules to do what they're kind of supposed to do. Just add that bit more to them, that little bit of some depth there to mix with the other ingredients. And just, you know, people are obsessed nowadays with fragrances lasting, aren't they? So I guess it helps that kind of thing, but they're done very subtly. Now Forbidden Bloom, I've probably talked about this in the last 50 videos, I don't know which order I released them, but it's peachy pear, tropical flowers, frangipani or tiari or both, gardenia, and it's like this big warm tropical sunset on a beach. It's beautiful. It has all them colours, that kind of dark orange. The newer version, the pear, kind of is more there in the opening, and you actually get the little hints of the coffee there, and the peach becomes more of the main fruity note. But what the Cashmeran does is it runs through it all and under it. It just gives it that bit of depth, that base. There's something holding it all up, but the notes are interwoven with the Cashmeran. You can't actually smell it. It's just kind of all intermingled, and just, yeah, adds the warmth and the depth there. And it's very nicely used, and it's a very enjoyable fragrance. Without the Cashmeran, it wouldn't have the same, it's like a dark warm sunset. It wouldn't have that warmth there, I don't think, without it. So it's kind of an important thing there. So yeah, that's a Forbidden Bloom from Mabel Arama. Next is from L'Orchestre Parfums, and that's Piano Santel. Now, I must admit, I'd never even really noticed it in this, but it makes sense when you know it's there. Piano Santel basically is sandalwood, a creamy smooth kind of bright sandalwood with some spices, and it's what it says on the tin, really. It's Santel. It's predominantly sandalwood, and it can go quite lactonic and quite milky, and it's one I'm always going to be honest, I own it, I like it obviously, but it's one I have to be in the mood from, because that creaminess and that kind of sandalwoodiness can obviously be a bit much at times for me. But what the Cashmeran does in this is, again, it's that grounding, it's the foundations of the fragrance. You don't notice it, you don't really smell it. Could be a bit of where the spice comes from, a bit of the pepperiness. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but it gives the fragrance a depth, so something to hold on to, you know what I mean? It's not too heavy, it's not even noticeable remotely to me. But it might again explain why I sometimes can struggle with this particular fragrance, maybe, I don't know, I'm just saying that. And that's basically Piano Santel. It's not an overly complicated fragrance, it's not wildly unique or anything, but it is one of them few creamy big sandalwoods that I can wear and like I say, most of the time enjoy. So that's Piano Santel from the Castor Puff. And finally is the fragrance where I suspect we'd have all been introduced to Cashmeran and what Cashmeran is. And it's a very old fragrance nowadays. That's Mugler's Alien. Now we all know Alien is the jasmine and the white musk, but actually when you understand what nowadays, now we smell Cashmeran a lot more, you can see that that's the base, that's the big heavy massive kind of presence in this fragrance. And it is like it is in modern times, quite dense, but it's not dense and suffocating, it still breathes. It's used there to give the fragrance obviously this big, you know, feeling and presence, which is what it's famous for. But it mixes again so well with the other notes. The white musk is, you know, again, where we'd have probably been introduced to that back in the time, is very prominent, as is the dark jasmine weaving through it. And there's obviously a lot more to this fragrance than them three notes, but they are the three pillars of the fragrance, and they're all there, they're all balanced and they all work fantastically. Now it's very well done. Again, it's not that the fragrance is a Cashmeran fragrance with some flavouring of other things like nowadays. And the Cashmeran itself is quite smooth. It's quite easy to wear. It's not your choking sock in the mouth like again it is nowadays, which I've said several times, haven't I? But yeah, it's an integral part of this older fragrance. And again, it shows that it's been around a long time. It's just nowadays it's the ingredient rather than a element of a fragrance. But anyway, that's Mugler's Alien, the original. Must be the original. The new reformulated version is not Alien. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, that's Cashmeran. As you can probably tell from the video, how do I feel about it? It's a really interesting molecular creation, isn't it? Like I say, there's somewhere I don't even notice it in, and I do enjoy it when it's subtle and it gives that round base, the bit of warmth there, the bit of kind of oomph, if you like. And it's served its purpose in the past. It's in a lot of fragrances from the olden days that I really like, and they didn't irritate me, they didn't annoy me, they didn't choke me, which kind of shows the difference of its use in more modern times. Now again, it was used a lot with the ambroxan over the last few years, wasn't it? But the ambroxan, you know, I think there were shortages or something, and it's just got more expensive because every single fragrance brand, let's replace every real ingredient, every interesting ingredient with ambroxan. Oh yes. And it's flipped to Cashmeran now, and it's getting very overly used, like in the most recent Amouage Love Delight. Oh no, It's used very heavily there. And again, I personally have nothing wrong with these molecular things. It's modern perfumery, and you know, sustainability and reducing costs to a point which they never pass on to the customers. So that's fair enough, isn't it? But I don't want a molecular fragrance. I want a real fragrance. A fragrance with character, a fragrance that does something, not a dense blob. And sadly, it besmirches Cashmeran nowadays, doesn't it? Anyway, what about you? What's your favourite Cashmeran fragrance? Are there any molecular fragrances you love or that you really struggle with? Right folks, thanks. Bye.